Hey look, it's the trans umbrella. I've done my absolute best to block out any faces from the parade. I filmed quite low down anyway, so it's just like arses and stuff. And if you think you recognise someone, it is definitely worth remembering that not everybody that goes to Pride is LGBTQIA+. Some people are there to support their friends, some people are just there because they happen to be there on the day. It doesn't mean anything. So if somebody's not out to you and you see them here, it doesn't mean that they need to be out. So leave people alone. Look how wet those pride flags are. I am also a little bit wet. Normally, I don't mind the rain, but hearing aids, so now I mind the rain. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. It will be fine. Ah, sorry. No, we are stuck again. Yep, got it. Look how weird my wall looks without my genderqueer flag. What is this? Also, hey, it's Pride attire. So what I'm doing now is I've come home to drop off my wheelchair because I have a cat booking and it is not feasible to go there in my wheelchair. So I'm going to take some painkillers and I'm going to go across town, feed the cats, go back through Pride, watch my friend perform on the main stage, which is exciting, and if she's watching, good luck. There's my ace flag, and there's my trans flag. So I'm with Mia and Blue. I'm going to show you my hands. I don't know how well you'll actually be able to see it. Probably not. But because it has rained and I was in my wheelchair and I was pushing myself in my wheelchair for at least some of it, at least on the way from town to home, cold rain on my push rims were also cold, so my hands are very stiff. They're a bit swollen, but I don't, unless you really know how big my hands are and what they look like. This one you can kind of see when I bend it how tight it looks. I mean they've been worse in my life, but you know when you've got like the residual tightness from when they were all puffy, that's where I'm at, so they're a bit slow. Accessibility in Pride. Oh man, I don't even know where to begin. Wheelchair users in the parade generally get left behind a lot. I was incredibly lucky to have somebody willing to push me because of my hearing aids. They are really not supposed to get wet, and I thought they were exaggerating when they said avoid rain like the plague, but turns out they are not exaggerating. You actually have to do that. So I couldn't push my wheelchair and hold my umbrella, and I kind of wanted to be able to hear what was going on around me because I do get a little bit anxious in crowds, especially when I'm in my wheelchair. If I hadn't had that, I probably wouldn't have been able to take part in the parade. That's not anybody's fault, that's just the weather. But generally, even if it hadn't rained, wheelchair users do get left behind quite a lot. There were times today where I was with, I got jumped over. There was times when I was with friends today and we would be heading off somewhere, and they can walk a lot faster than I can push, especially up a hill. So that happens a lot. And the actual place where the stalls and stuff are is very hilly, very crowded, incredibly crowded, so I can never get close enough to the stalls. Actually going in between the stalls to get to the other side, as you saw previously, that was the closest to stalls I could actually get, and I still couldn't actually see the stalls. I could just run people over and crash into the signs and the benches. Whoops. And accessibility wise, it's just kind of a lot loud. I was relying on my friends rather than like event organisers for help getting places. And a lot of the venues in town that aren't even like gay venues or queer venues, they were hosting Pride stuff, but I went to one and the lift just wasn't turned on. So I had to come and get a friend to come and carry my chair upstairs for me to actually get up and hang out with everybody for this Pride event. You can't really have Pride without access. It's kind of disheartening sometimes because disabled queers are valid as heck. We exist. More than 1/3 of LGBT adults identify as having a disability or being disabled. That's quite a lot. And there's the whole like 10% of people are born with a disability, but 90% of people die with one. So there are a lot of disabled people. There are a lot of disabled LGBTQIA+ people. There are a lot of disabled allies, and we deserve the same access as our able-bodied counterparts. We are not lesser queers just because we get around on wheels, or just because we use mobility aids, or just because we need masks to breathe, or because we use hearing aids, or because we have visual impairments. All of these things, and I'm definitely forgetting some, that is not an exhaustive list, but that doesn't stop us from being queer, and it shouldn't stop us from having access to the same venues, to the same events that are happening. And it's just sad, really, because I know a lot of LGBT venues are held in attics and basements because of the history of LGBT struggles and how we used to, I say we, I wasn't alive when this happened, but how back in the day it used to be a very much underground scene. It wasn't legal, it wasn't acceptable in society, so you'd have to do it in like basements, you'd have to do it in attics, you'd have to hide it out the way. But we're in 2019 now, and we'd still have a very long way to go. I'm not saying that we're equal now, but it's legal now. We are more accepted, we are able to have LGBT pride events, we are allowed, it's legal to marry now, it's not illegal to have gay sex anymore. So much has changed that we don't need to keep it in basements and attics anymore. I was at a pre-Pride party last night. I didn't go in my wheelchair because I didn't need to. But I had my hearing aids in, and they do not work in that sort of a situation. We have found this out. But I was listening to let's just go with heavy metal band for ease sake. Everyone was kind of really enjoying it, and for me it was just kind of noise. And I'm not saying that because that's what I think heavy metal is. I actually love that genre, but what I was hearing wasn't great. So then I leant against a wall and I could feel the vibrations in it, and it kind of helped. So I wrote a message out on my phone because I have massive anxiety about speaking when I can't hear anything. That's another video. I showed the little note to someone I know that runs the event, and I was like, is there a speaker that I could conveniently put my hand on to hear better? Because I don't want to be in the way, I don't want to be a health and safety risk, I just want a convenient one. And they were like, oh yeah, any at the front, do that one. And I was like, okay. So I put my hand up on the speaker and it was like, yeah, now I hear it. And then at the front I was able to lip read the singer a bit better. I could see the drums, because I know what a drum kit sounds like, because musically inclined, so I'm familiar with it. So I was watching that. I was flitting between looking. You could I could feel the guitar through the speaker at the top, and then I had my leg pressed against the speaker at the bottom, which was feeling the bass of the kick drum. And then I was lip reading the singer, and then some of the singer's notes were coming through on the speaker at the top. So that really helped me to pick apart the music and listen to it. And Access makes Queer Spaces better because I could do that and I could enjoy the music a lot more without bothering anybody. And it wasn't bothering. Like, Access is never a bother. So we can't have Pride without Access. Sorry about it. Yeah, I like accessible Pride events. Make sure your lifts are turned on if you have a lift and you're doing a Pride event upstairs or downstairs. Access at Pride is an issue, and a lot of the access needs were kind of flooded out by the rain because the rain was the biggest problem. But if it hadn't rained, I am very aware of very specific access needs that were being refused to be met. Happens all the time. They put one single person in charge of accessibility, and one person can never fully understand all of the access requirements for the different identities and needs. Like, everybody has different needs. Like, autistic people have their own needs, visually impaired people have their own needs, wheelchair users have their own needs, deaf, hard of hearing, hearing aid users, they all have their own needs. People with chronic pain, invisible illnesses, they all have their own needs. People with colostomy bags and ileostomy bags, they all have their own needs. Like, there are so many needs that one person cannot cover them all. And when this person thinks that just hiring one BSL interpreter for the entire event that's happening in many different places, and think that that's deaf inclusion, oh no. Portable hearing loops would be a massive help. And then maybe a BSL interpreter for each area in the Pride Parade event thing. Just an idea for next year. So yeah, access issues at Pride are a thing. I have written an article a long time ago from NUS LGBTQ+ conference. I will put a link to that down in the description. Please give that a read, because it kind of highlights the sort of issues that disabled queers are facing. So check that out, and if you want to support me as a creator, you can tip me through there, but you don't have to. But that is an option if you've wanted to do that, because I've had a couple of people say, how can I support you? Share my videos, subscribe to my channel, all that sort of jazz. So I will leave you with that. And then I'm going out tonight, so we'll see if I actually get a ticket. But yeah, I'll see you later.
It was black and brown, queer, trans people of colour and sex workers that instigated the Stonewall Uprising. They had had enough of the continuous violence and brutality by the police, and they fought back. It was a butch lesbian of colour, Stormy, who was being arrested by the police, and she cried out, "Won't anyone do anything?" which spurred people into action. What happened 50 years ago was an instigator for the Western LGBTQ civil rights movement, which has reached all around the world. Without black and brown, queer and trans people, we would simply not be able to enjoy the freedoms that we have today. 50 years ago, Sylvia Rivera felt that the mainstream LGBTQ community was not inclusive of trans people, poor people and people of colour. We talk a lot about Marsha Johnson and Sylvia Rivera today, but the mainstream LGBTQ community is still not given a voice to today's Marshas and Sylvias. I'm not going to go yet, just because my friend Ibtisam, who was meant to be giving the speech after me, has chickenpox. So unfortunately, you're going to have to put up with me a bit longer while I deliver his speech. My name is Ibtisam Ahmed. Maria mentioned people who cannot celebrate themselves in their own homes. I am one of them. I am gay and I am a proud immigrant of colour. I come from one of 70 countries in the world today where it is illegal to love someone if they are the same gender as you. Of those 70, 34 made laws under British colonialism. So as grateful as I am to be able to share my story here with Pride, I also know that had history been different and less oppressive, I might not have needed to. It can be easy to paint those less fortunate as victims, but I can assure you we are fighting back. Don't just stand for us, stand with us.
I don't need your tolerance. but we demand your respect for my humanity.
Black femininity is the strongest energy in the world.
You Are Enough is kind of the theme for this year's Pride. Thank you. Am I trans enough? I mean, I'm a female identifying AMAB person, but I could bear to look at my dick. I was a pretty hot guy. I enjoyed getting pleasure from my genitals. I've never had an affinity for mermaids. I didn't always know. I don't really care about passing. I hate having long hair. I enjoy sitting with my legs apart. I don't really wear many dresses, and I identify as non-binary. And so other people are way more trans than me. Yes. No ifs, no buts. I am trans enough despite the stereotypes. I am enough of an addict despite the stereotypes. I am depressed enough despite the stereotypes, and I am autistic enough despite the stereotypes. If anyone else told me that I wasn't enough, I would tell them to sit down and shut up. So, why is it that I tell myself that I'm not enough?
Hello, it's the day after Pride and it's the evening. I didn't end up going out in the end because after watching some of the incredible speeches, some of the words like really hit home for me and I wasn't feeling great. I was feeling quite dysphoric, but that's okay. I made a nest and it wasn't a bad thing. So if anyone who made the speeches is watching this, you didn't upset me, don't you dare apologise. It's just a lot about feeling, I don't know, it's hard to really describe when this isn't supposed to be a very feely video. I just wasn't feeling great, so I decided to take care of myself and not go out and just make sure that I was okay and I wasn't going to feel any worse, so I did that. But yeah, that's it from me, I think. Give the video a like, subscribe to my channel and ring that notification bell so you get notified every single time I post a video. Videos go up every Saturday at 6 PM with at least one bonus video every single month. See ya!